Love bombing is not romance, it's brain hacking. The dopamine rush it triggers is as powerful as a narcotic. What feels like destiny is actually a biochemical trap. In this video, we'll reveal the number 3-phase psychological snare number millions fall into, expose red flags that even experts miss, and give you the tools to escape before lasting damage sets in. Think of your most intense relationship, the one that felt like a fairy tale. Keep it in mind. By the end of this video, you'll see it in a completely different light. Let's begin. Love bombing is not simply a flood of flowers and sweet words. It's a neurological takeover. Imagine someone handing you your favorite reward every time you see them. That's what's happening inside your brain. Every "you're my soulmate," every surprise gift, every constant text lights up your dopamine system. Dopamine is the same chemical triggered by narcotics and gambling wins, and your brain doesn't know the difference. Very quickly, you stop craving the person themselves and start craving the high they produce. Scientists call this the creation of a reward pathway, where your brain learns, number this person equals pleasure. Number the cruel twist. This rewiring can happen in just days, not months. And because it feels so intense, victims often confuse it with destiny. Ask yourself, when you think back to your own whirlwind romance, were you falling for the human being or for the biochemical roller coaster they engineered? Here's the unsettling truth. Manipulators don't stumble upon their victims by chance. They hunt deliberately. Psychologists call it vulnerability scanning. These predators are drawn to empaths, people who've just survived a breakup, those in career transitions, or anyone with shaky self-esteem. Why? Because these are the people who are most open, most hungry for connection, and therefore easiest to hook. Think about it. If you've been starved of attention, suddenly being showered with it feels like water in a desert. But that's exactly what makes you susceptible. The irony is almost cruel. Your kindness, your compassion, your ability to forgive, all the things that make you a beautiful human become weapons against you. The manipulator studies your wounds, identifies where you bleed emotionally, and then pretends to heal them. In reality, they are preparing to exploit them. Have you noticed how abusers always seem to find the kindest souls? That's no accident. Normal love has a rhythm: meet, share, discover, grow. But love bombing skips the rhythm and goes straight to the finale. Suddenly, someone you barely know is calling you the one, introducing you to their family after just a handful of dates, or talking about marriage before you've even learned each other's middle names. On the surface, it feels exhilarating, like a whirlwind romance from a movie. But beneath the glitter is a trap. This speed is not passion, it's manipulation. The intensity creates an illusion of deep connection, but it's artificially engineered. By overwhelming you with grand gestures, constant texting, and relentless attention, they hijack your sense of time. Weeks feel like years, and you're tricked into thinking you know them deeply, but what you're really experiencing is dependency being manufactured. Here's the test. If a connection feels almost too perfect, ask yourself, is this love, or is it control wearing a mask? In the past, manipulators had to guess what you liked. Now, thanks to social media, they have your entire emotional blueprint laid out in front of them. They scroll through your photos, study your captions, and learn exactly what makes you light up. Then they mirror it back to you. Suddenly, they're sending you songs you once posted years ago, or memes that fit your humor perfectly. They comment on every picture, like every post, and flood you with digital affection. To you, it feels magical, like someone finally sees you. But in truth, they're mining data. Social media gives them unlimited access to your personality, your triggers, your longings. What feels like fate is really a formula. Information gathered, then weaponized. This digital love bombing creates the illusion of intimacy when in reality it's a script. They aren't connecting with your soul. They're hacking it with your own content as the code. Why is love bombing so hard to spot? Because it's packaged as everything society tells us to want. When someone declares, "I can't live without you," after 2 weeks, most of us label it as passion instead of panic. When they cancel your plans with friends to whisk you away on spontaneous adventures, it feels flattering instead of isolating. When they echo every hobby, interest and value you share, you think you've found your soulmate instead of realizing you're dealing with a mirror. That's the genius and cruelty of this manipulation. The very behaviors we've been taught to celebrate as romance are actually warning signs. The question you must learn to ask is, why the rush? Healthy intimacy grows slowly, brick by brick. Love bombing pours concrete overnight, but the structure is hollow. The sooner you learn to differentiate passion from pressure, the sooner you protect your heart. A manipulator's biggest enemy isn't your suspicion, it's your support network. Friends, family, co-workers, they are the reality check that can pull you out of the fog. That's why love bombers work systematically to separate you from them. It starts small. Comments like, "They don't understand us," or "Your friends seem jealous." Soon, you're subtly choosing them over everyone else. Dates are scheduled during family dinners. Texts arrive just as you're meeting friends, pulling your attention away. Eventually, it escalates. They might push for moving in together quickly, or suggest a romantic trip that physically removes you from your circle. It looks like commitment, but it's isolation disguised as intimacy. Before you know it, your world shrinks to one person, and that person controls the entire narrative. Remember this: anyone who demands you cut ties to prove your love is not protecting you. They're imprisoning you. Once you're fully hooked, the manipulator changes the game. Suddenly, the constant texts slow down. The sweet words that once came daily are now rare. The quirks they used to adore, your laugh, your habits, start irritating them. At first, you think it's normal. But here's the truth: it's deliberate. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement. The same principle that keeps gamblers glued to slot machines. They don't stop giving you affection entirely. Instead, they give you just enough to keep you hoping, just enough to make you crave the return of that initial intensity. You spend your days chasing the high of the beginning, wondering what you did wrong, and bending over backwards to please them. What you don't realize is that this withdrawal is part of the trap. It teaches your brain to work harder for scraps, solidifying the addiction. You're no longer in a relationship, you're in a casino. When you finally gather the courage to confront them, something even darker happens. They deny, twist, and distort until you question your own memory. You remember them promising a future, but now they insist they never said that. You recall the overwhelming attention, but they accuse you of being too needy. Every complaint is reframed as your flaw. This is gaslighting in its purest form, rewriting reality. Over time, you stop trusting your perception. You begin apologizing for things you didn't do, doubting your sanity, and believing you're the problem. This isn't confusion, it's conditioning. By eroding your confidence in your own judgment, they make you easier to control. The worst part? Gaslighting doesn't just change how you see them, it changes how you see yourself. It trains you to shrink, to silence your voice, to accept less. And the more you question your reality, the tighter their grip becomes. By this stage, your brain has been rewired in devastating ways. You're no longer just emotionally attached, you're chemically addicted. Psychologists call it a trauma bond, a cycle where abuse and affection intertwine until they feel inseparable. Each wave of withdrawal floods you with stress hormones like cortisol, while every small breadcrumb of affection reignites dopamine. The result is a bond stronger than healthy love. You find yourself defending the very person who hurts you, craving the chaos, because it's the only relief from the pain they caused. Friends may ask, "Why don't you just leave?" But they don't understand. Your body is hooked. It's like asking a drug addict to simply stop craving the drug. You're not weak, you're trapped by biology. This is why leaving feels impossible. Your brain mistakes dysfunction for connection. Breaking free isn't just emotional. It's neurological recovery from an engineered addiction. After months or even years of manipulation, the mask finally falls. The love bomber has drained you, reshaped your identity, and tied you into knots. Now comes the discard phase. Suddenly, they may vanish without explanation, leaving you shattered and confused. Or worse, they stay and begin to openly cheat, humiliate, or abuse, showing no trace of the affection they once used to hook you. Some become cruel, spitting out words designed to destroy your self-worth. Others disappear overnight, leaving you to obsess over what went wrong. The truth? Nothing went wrong. This was always the plan. Discarding you isn't just about moving on, it's about crushing you so deeply that you question your value long after they're gone. Often they've already lined up a new target, ready to recycle the same tactics. For you, it feels like abandonment. For them, it's strategy. You're not broken, you were exploited. Just when you're finally starting to breathe again, the phone buzzes. A message. "I miss you." Or perhaps an apology, a promise that they've changed, that therapy, God, or a near-death experience woke them up. This is the Hoover, named after the vacuum, because it's designed to suck you back in. They replay the love-bombing act, repeating the same lines, gestures, and intensity you once fell for. And because you're still wounded, part of you craves it. That's what they count on. They know your weak spots, your dreams, your longings. They know exactly which button to press. Understand this, they haven't changed. They don't miss you. They miss the control. Hoovering is not about reconciliation. It's about recycling. You weren't the love of their life. You were a source of supply. And now they're circling back, not out of love, but out of convenience. Recognize it for what it is. A trap. One of the most overlooked but devastating tools of love bombing is financial manipulation. In the beginning, it feels intoxicating. They insist on paying for everything, surprise you with expensive gifts, or step in to help with your bills. You feel cherished, cared for, secure. But every dollar comes with invisible strings. Slowly, your finances become intertwined. Joint accounts, loans co-signed, utilities in your name. And once that happens, leaving isn't just emotional, it's practical and terrifying. They'll remind you of everything they bought, demand repayment, or threaten to ruin your credit. Some even trap victims in debt, ensuring dependence long after the romance fades. What looked like generosity was leverage all along. Financial love bombing is one of the hardest to escape because it builds a cage around your independence. Remember, true love doesn't demand financial entanglement as proof of commitment. If money is used as a hook, it's not love, it's control. You think you're finally free. You've blocked them, started healing, maybe even begun to smile again. But manipulators don't just disappear. They monitor your life from the shadows, scanning for signs of progress. The moment they sense you're moving on, they strike. A text on your birthday, a comment on your photo, a sudden emergency only you can solve. They time these intrusions carefully, during holidays, anniversaries, or vulnerable moments. Their goal isn't love, it's disruption. They can't stand the thought of you thriving without them because your independence threatens their power. By reappearing just when you're strongest, they inject doubt, reopen wounds, and reset your recovery clock. It feels like starting over. But remember, this is strategy. They want you trapped in their orbit indefinitely. The best defense is understanding this pattern. Every reappearance is not fate, not destiny, not unfinished love. It's sabotage, designed to keep you from freedom. Escaping love bombing isn't just about walking away, it's about surviving withdrawal. Victims often describe the cravings as unbearable, the obsessive thoughts, the overwhelming urge to reach out, the physical ache of absence. This is not weakness, it's brain chemistry. Dopamine receptors rewired by manipulation scream for relief, much like drug withdrawal. That's why psychologists stress the importance of no contact number. Every message, every glance at their profile, every slip back into conversation resets the cycle. The process usually takes at least 90 days, sometimes longer. Healing requires replacing the artificial highs with natural ones. Exercise, creativity, meditation, laughter with supportive friends. Slowly, your brain recalibrates. The storm quiets, but here's the key. You must treat this like an addiction. One hit, a call, a text, a meeting, and the cravings surge back. Understand that your fight isn't just emotional. It's biological recovery, one day at a time. How do you ensure you never fall into this trap again? The answer lies in learning the difference between genuine love and manufactured intensity. Healthy love builds gradually. It's consistent, steady, respectful. There are no fireworks designed to blind you, only small flames that grow stronger over time. Pay attention to how a person treats others, waiters, strangers, even their exes. Watch how they respond when you set boundaries or say no. Do they respect your pace, or do they push for more? Manipulators rush milestones because speed benefits them. Real partners honor patience because depth takes time. True love doesn't pressure you to abandon friends or sacrifice independence. It encourages your growth, celebrates your individuality, and waits while trust develops naturally. Ask yourself, does this connection feel peaceful and safe, or chaotic and consuming? That single question may save you years of heartbreak. Love that is real never needs rushing. After surviving love bombing, one of the most powerful steps you can take is rebuilding your support network. Remember, isolation was the manipulator's greatest weapon. Friends and family who questioned the relationship were painted as enemies, but they were your lifeline. Reconnecting may feel awkward or even shameful. You might worry they'll say, "I told you so." But genuine supporters don't judge. They welcome you back with open arms. Make it a priority to rebuild those bridges. Create safety nets, financial independence, personal hobbies, community groups. Don't let your identity shrink back into the shape of a relationship. Your worth expands far beyond one person's approval. Share the red flags you've learned with people you trust so they can reality check you in the future. Boundaries aren't walls, they're filters. Surround yourself with people who honor them. The more you strengthen your community, the less likely you'll ever fall into isolation again. Connection is your greatest defense. Centuries before psychology gave names to these tactics, the Stoics had already offered protection. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Love bombing works because it convinces you your happiness depends entirely on someone else's approval. Stoicism flips this script. Your power is internal, never external. Epictetus, once a slave, taught that no one can truly harm you unless you surrender your inner freedom. This doesn't mean you won't feel pain. It means you decide what meaning that pain carries. The Stoic practice of number-negative visualization, number, imagining loss before it happens, builds resilience. When you remind yourself that relationships can end, compliments can be false and promises can be broken, you stop clinging to illusions. Seneca urged daily reflection. Ask yourself if you acted from your own values or from pressure. This constant awareness becomes armor, making manipulation visible before it ever takes hold. Surviving love bombing isn't just about closing a chapter, it's about rewriting the story. Your pain can become your weapon, not against your abuser, but against the cycle itself. Share your story when you're ready, not for revenge, but as a beacon for others still trapped. Volunteer for organizations helping survivors of narcissistic abuse. Teach your children what healthy love looks like, breaking generational patterns before they repeat. Use your heightened awareness as a filter in every relationship, romantic, professional, even friendships. The tactics are the same: overwhelm, isolate, control. Once you see them, you can never unsee them. That's the gift hidden in the wound: immunity. What once enslaved you now empowers you. Love bombing no longer tricks you because you know its shape, its rhythm, its smell. And by transforming your story into wisdom, you not only protect yourself, you light the path for countless others. As we reach the end of this deep dive into love bombing, remember this: knowledge without action changes nothing. You've seen how manipulators hijack brain chemistry, rush intimacy, isolate you, and create trauma bonds that feel impossible to break. But you've also seen the antidotes: rebuilding your support network, practicing no contact, and wearing the armor of Stoic awareness. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that external events are beyond our control, yet our inner response is always ours to command. That is your greatest weapon. Now, here's your challenge: pause and reflect. Can you spot moments in your own life where intensity masked manipulation? Write them down. Awareness is the first step to immunity, and if you're healing, be patient with yourself. Recovery is not linear, but every day you resist the Hoover, every day you reclaim your peace, is victory. If this message resonated, share it with someone who needs it. Comment your story below, because your voice might be the lifeline for someone still trapped. Real love is steady, patient, and liberating, and you deserve nothing less.